Hey, my name is Dr. TK, and welcome to the Abundant Creator Podcast. On this podcast show, we will uncover prosperous tools to help you become the CEO of your business and your life. I am a mom and wife who merged my knowledge as a clinical psychologist and professor for over 20 years into building a multi-six-figure mental health business and seven-figure digital product business serving others and doing what I love. Now, I believe that you can make a wildly abundant living unapologetically while also dreaming big, enjoying life, and making a huge impact. So if you are ready to achieve your biggest goals, then you are in the right place. So let's get started. Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the podcast. My name is Dr. TK, and in today's podcast episode, we are talking about how therapists can add streams of income to their existing business. So let's go ahead and hop in. So in the summer of every year, I tend to transition around May or June, and we start shifting from talking about one-to-one services to one-to-many. Now, as a clinical psychologist myself, I know what it feels like firsthand to be trained in pretty much only one-on-one therapy. Even though in graduate school, we're exposed to doing groups, we're exposed to doing family therapy, but the key word is exposed. And if you do not obtain any type of internship or practicum hours at an agency in which they will then take the next step and give you the experience of collectively working with a group, you pretty much have to figure out how to do that on your own post-licensure. And so I'm going to walk you through how my history of serving adolescents and transitional age youth turned into, over time, various streams of income. Okay. So my history is working in K through 12 systems. I'm not a school psychologist. I am a clinical psychologist. However, I was fortunate enough to get practicum, part-time job opportunities, volunteer opportunities, actually working in school districts. And so I live in Southern California, but I moved up to the Bay Area for grad school. And I worked in schools in the Oakland district, in the Richmond district. And then when I came back home to Los Angeles, I worked for the county Department of Mental Health. And because I worked with the individuals that were released from the juvenile facility and in the aftercare program, our primary goal was to make sure that we collectively work with probation, with their parents and caregivers, and with the school system to ensure that they received adequate treatment. And so the way that my brain works is that I see things as pieces of the puzzle. And what tends to bother me the most is when we serve children and adults and there is no transitional services, especially when they come from facilities. And so way back when I started getting my feet wet into like case management, because that's also not taught to me as a clinical psychologist in school. I had to learn that on my own. And I realized how important it was to link our client with services. And so fast forward, I got relationship capital with people at the school. I end up leaving the school in terms of my internship, but I still was called within a grant to come and work for a couple of hours, about 15 to 20 hours a week part-time, while I was getting my postdoctoral hours. And so during that season, they allowed me, honestly, free range to experiment, but I'm not going to say, nothing is unethical, but they allowed me to experiment in terms of my ideas. I am not afraid to share my ideas. And what I'm going to do is link below the video that just came out before this one, as it relates to me being able to have relationship capital and build collaborations in the community, no matter where I stay, so that if someone needs a service, I will always be the top of mind. Okay. So what I end up doing is proposing that we do what's called independent living skills. What I realized back in like 2008 and 9, or maybe 2010, is that the kids graduating from high school were not prepared to go out into adulting, into the world, right? Now, I grew up going to school in the 90s. And what a lot of parents don't know, even to today, is that certain curriculum requirements that may have been required for them to graduate high school is no longer a requirement. And it honestly went away in the early 2000s. What I'm referring to is when I went to high school, it was a requirement that we learned how to type. It was a requirement that we typed on what's called Mavis Beacon, if those of you who, were aging ourselves, right? I also had to learn basic computer literacy skills. I had to learn Microsoft Office, PowerPoint, Word, Excel, because it wasn't just about using Canva or putting together a pretty presentation. It was specifically about, do you know basic functionalities of these systems so that you can go position yourself to get a job? Right? Because that was the biggest thing, not entrepreneurship. But I still believe that it did teach us how to start adulting. On top of that, in our government or economics class, it was like half and half for the year. Let me know if, in the chat box, if this sounds familiar, because I know they have some of these classes, but the way that the teacher teaches these classes may differ based on the state requirements and the teacher's interests to get that kids' ideas to like think bigger beyond high school. So one of the requirements was when we were in economics, we had to go to the old school newspaper back then. We had to go look for a job. We had to go look for a place to stay. And they gave us a budget. They even gave us a fake life. On a sheet of paper, all of us had our situation. My situation was, I believe I was kicked out of my parents' home. I was like 19 years old. I had to figure out a place to stay, and I was in college. What do I do? Somebody else may have gotten a story that they were a single parent. Now, the stories that they gave us were very much so accurate, based on where I lived at and things like that. And I think it was a good practice for us to think outside the box. And so what that made me realize is how much it costs to live on my own. Now, get this, when I started talking to the kids and talking to their parents, what I found over the years of me doing different workshops in the community about the importance of talking to our children about what does it mean to become an adult beyond chronological age, I realized that the school knew that they removed a portion of the curriculum, but somehow the parents were not informed. It was just like, your kid just go to the next grade. This is what it is. Then the parents thought that the school was teaching it. So they thought that they were teaching it to each other. Like the school knew we let it go. So they would assume, okay, you talk to your kid, you know that your kid is not learning these tools, right? And it's only the teachers that go above and beyond that's still included in their curriculum. So I'm sharing all this because after multiple conversations, I got very passionate about this topic to the point where I developed PTA meeting workshops for parents. That was completely free. But what that did is it allowed me to make connections in the community with even parents who wanted their child or family unit to have a psychologist or therapist. And back then we weren't doing telehealth. Okay. So I'm also, hopefully you see that I'm sharing additional nuggets of how you can open yourself up to get a variety of different referrals. Okay. So while I was working at the high school, let me reverse back. When I was working at the high school, I decided to do like a couple of workshops. And at first it was like 4 weeks. And then I said, it's too much information. Let me spread it out across 8 weeks. The kids were loving it. And all of a sudden, my class went from like 5 people to 6 people to 20 kids that wanted to stay after school to educate themselves on becoming an adult. One day, the economics teacher rolled on through and said, "Hey, Takesha, what are you doing?" And I'm like, "Oh, I'm doing the independent living skills for the kids." And he just so happened to come in because we had like a 50-inch TV prompted on the wall. And so I connected it to my computer through like AirDrop or whatever. And he said, "You're showing kids how to fill out the, W-2 paperwork, the onboarding paperwork for a job." And I said, "Yes, that's the week that we're on." Because I, even as an adult, realized that I was never taught how to fill out this paper until one year I owed like $800 in taxes in my early 20s. And then my mom realized that no one sat us down and said, put single 0, put, if you have a child, single 1 or married 1. We just copied off each other, right? And so I told him that, yes, we're doing this, 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 and this. And he said, "Half of these kids are my students. Can we bring some more kids over?" I said, "Sure, but it's after school. It has to be completely voluntary. It's free, but they can come on over." And he said, "I have something better." And I love when teachers, suggest things. And he said, "What if I gave my students extra credit, but can you give me a sign-in sheet and I need them to stay? How long is your workshop?" I said, "An hour." He said, "I need them to sign in for the whole hour." I said, "Okay, bet." So I adjusted the worksheet. They started to sign in. The kids that came that day started to get extra credit. And I'm sharing this because I was paid. Well, I'm gonna take that back. Initially, I was not paid to do these workshops. I was doing them with my therapy clients and with my case management clients. Then I proposed, hey, can we do this after school so that I can actually talk to the kids? And then they said, well, how much would that cost? And back then I just said, well, and I didn't even have a private practice. I said, well, I know that I want to, get paid 150 an hour in a private practice one day. So 150 a session. And they said, okay, let me get it approved. And the lady got it approved. And so at that point, I was doing 8-week workshops almost every quarter. And remember, I just want to put out there, I was not licensed. I'm not doing therapy. I'm doing skill set, life skills that kids and adults desperately need. Okay. So you can see how my work with adolescents, me paying attention to what they're telling me in session, paying attention to what the parents have told me through my collaborative work with the family unit and with my conversations with the teachers. I recognized the gap. And that's what I talked about in that previous video that I'm going to link below, because you want to be able to recognize the gap when you want to collaborate and take your services into an agency services so that they can see the benefit. And the great part is this would now be considered a beta launch, because I was just doing it out the kindness of my heart. They offered to pay me. I said yes. I turned in my invoices. I got paid, and the kids got extra credit, and they knew how to adult by the time that they, went out. Okay. So where did that lead to later to sum things up? Okay. That led to me doing an online course where it was like I was learning how to build my online courses back in 2000 and maybe 13 or 14. So I went on CourseCraft at the time. It's no longer available. It's very much like a Teachable or a Kajabi, but it was just for online courses. I went on CourseCraft and I uploaded it and I made it like $20 for the adolescent. Ideally, their parent would buy it. And all I did was take what I was repeating over and over again in these live sessions, and then in the future, these virtual sessions, and I recorded it so that the kids can go through it on their own. Well, where did I come up with that idea? Later down the line, I had a private practice. I started having college kids come into my office. They're like, hey, I want to move out. The parent like, I want you to move out, but you can't afford it. And so I started recognizing that there was still a gap with the parents, the teenagers, or transitional age youth. So I then added a stream of income in the future to my private practice. Some of the kids in therapy services came to the group, which that was an easy yes, because I already knew what the issue was. So what we were able to do is have their parents pay an out-of-pocket, very low fee. It wasn't super expensive. My goal in the beginning was to get paid a flat rate for a certain amount of time. I knew how much it would cost to prep. But again, that's the beauty part of standard operating procedures, is that when you start creating things, always document what you're doing, keep it in a safe space. Mine was on Google Drive. And all I did was update the information based on who's coming and their age. And then over time, I started recognizing that this workshop was more appropriate for youth that were 16 to 25, unless I had a very more mature 14 or 15-year-old, which I did like once or twice in my private practice. So twice a year. Fast forward, now I have a full-blown solo private practice. I have a group practice at some point for 5 years. And now, instead of me doing one-on-one therapy all the time, I now have the following experience under my belt: going to PTA meetings and getting in front of schools and academic principals, administrators. I'm able to go into public schools and position myself to say, I can do a 4 to 8 week workshop. And if you want to test me out, invite me into your economics class, invite me into your English class, invite me into your electives class. Let me go and talk to the staff. You all have to start inserting yourself. Stop waiting for someone to reach out to you and say, hey, I saw you on Instagram, I saw you on TikTok, and I want you to come in. That is really not how, if we look at it from a brand deal perspective, that's not how we get brand deals. You have to have a big following, and people have to be able to see you when they search. And a lot of times therapists are not searchable because we're not making ourselves searchable. So in the beginning, you're going to have to go and put yourself out there, which is the benefit of relationship capital. Okay. So it went from all of those very informal to then formal meetings, me playing around with what I do with kids in therapy to help them move to the next phase of their life, but also in my mind and in my ear, paying close attention to what they're saying that they're lacking, And over time, I've been able to get paid for it. So this also led to in-person workshops, as I mentioned, at least twice a year in my solo, and then moving into a group practice. And then what now I can do is come online and build this into my coaching programs for therapists of how to teach them how to do it. I have information and strategy for days, especially when it comes down to creating a brand offer and inserting yourself, but you're going to go out there and you're going to have to do the work. So we can go through a lot of different streams of income, but I'd rather give you a bite-sized piece just to show you an example of what can be done when you niche down. You work really well with one population. It doesn't mean you always have to be niche down, but I was for years, so I could be known as the expert in that area. And then over time, I niched up because now I could be more flexible because I know how to market and I know how to brand myself. And that's where I see a lot of entrepreneurs making the mistake, is that they want to go out there and focus on the website and the colors and the font and, a photo shoot, and all those things are beautiful and they're great. But what good are they to your business if you're not generating any revenue? You got to put yourself out there physically and go meet people and build relationship capital. Okay. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this podcast episode. Again, check out the description box. Depending on when you are watching this podcast episode or listening to it on the audio version, we are still open for two things. So one thing is our DTA Plat program. Our Adult Therapist Academy program is focused on expansion. Now, let me be clear. This program is a lock-in for 12 months. It's a abbreviated version of a mastermind experience. We meet once a month. You have Boxer access, which is on-demand coaching with me, one big question a month. But we are very particular to who gets into that program because you have to be already ready to expand, which means you already have consistent revenue for about 6 months in your business. If you are in our DTA program, you have to have made it to automation in the portal and have completed it and started your SOPs. But our goal is to focus on you expanding into the community and or you expanding into group practice. And so if you're interested in the DTA Plat program, just go ahead and check the description box below. And if we're open, you will go to an application page and some information. If it is not, then it's closed right now and we'll reopen it. The second thing that we have available is our VIP experience, which will also be linked. We have one link that will show you everything that we have. But if you're interested in meeting in person, and you want to talk about what I just presented, and you have a viable business in mental health already. Again, you're making and generating money on a consistent basis. Your money is not flowing up and down. You know how to market yourself. You know what you're doing in your solo private practice, because the live event, just like this program, is not covering any type of solo practice. And the live event, though, does not include group practice. So the live event is really for people who want to start the expansion services in the community as a solo practitioner, but you want to move to one-to-many and you want to get it out the way in 2 days. So we're going to be in Vegas in September. We're going to be in Orlando in November. So there are still a few spots left. We just sent out the first round of invitations based on the first group of people that applied over the last 2 weeks. And we're going through them to make sure that people are the right match for the program. And that's very imperative for me because I want to make sure that you have an enriching conversation. And if for whatever reason, let me just put this out there, if you do not meet the requirements, I will tell you or give you suggestions on where to get help, whether it is something that I have, whether it's materials, free information on YouTube or the podcast, or another program. Okay. And so shoot your shot. Okay. But just make sure that when you do apply, especially for the live event, that you spell out what you're doing in your business. But if you want to lock in with us for a year and go into group practice or expansion, but just have more time to pace yourself out, see the description box. It's called DTA Plat. So please subscribe to the channel if you are new here. I also want to say welcome. We focus on abundant mindset, abundant business, and my slogan really is to build a business around your life and not the other way around. Like this video, comment below your best takeaway, and I will see you or talk to you in the next podcast. Bye. Fire me up. You just finished another epic episode of the Abundant Creator Podcast. Now, I would love to connect with you, so be sure to head down to the show notes for any additional abundant resources. And if you are looking for a new tribe of abundant creators like yourself, connect with me on Instagram at Dr. TK Site or YouTube at Dr. TK. Until the next episode, create and live abundantly.